in a former life as a youth pastor, all the time I had this conversation with people about how can God send people to hell? And I would always say, well, where do you think he should send you? Because I'm convinced that I ought to go there. So it's not out of the realms of possibility for me that a whole lot of other people ought to go there too. Our struggle with a God of justice is actually, I think, less about trying to deal with God and more about trying to deal with ourselves, because it is hard to admit that we are broken. It is hard to admit that we are sinners. It can be painful. It can be humiliating. And it takes great vulnerability. But it's there in the brokenness and the pain that we find God. I think the saddest thing about the last 2 weeks is that as people long for justice and for people to be treated fairly, there becomes this separating of people into who's in and who's out, rather than a realizing that we're all out and we all need God's help. Because here's the thing for our world right now. When we understand what Paul's saying here in these first 2 chapters about the brokenness of the world and our individual brokenness, and when we allow God's Spirit to come and change our hearts and circumcise us and point us towards a better future, look at what the better future is. You've just been in Revelation the last 2 weeks. I'll go there again. Chapter 7. And I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. And they were wearing white robes and were holding palm branches in the hand. And they cried out in a loud voice, "Salvation belongs to our God who sits on the throne and to the Lamb." The Bible pictures sinners saved by God from every nation, tribe, race. And it pictures us gathered together in perfect equality, worshipping Jesus, the Lamb who sits on the throne, who has given us the great gift of salvation. We have the solution this world longs for, because we hold the message of God's goodness and grace. The only hope is Jesus.